of human history, and we need to decide how we're going to respond to that. And I believe it's not through increased enforcement that's linked with border and national security. It's not through proposed laws we sort of joke about President Obama having to show his papers, but he's not alone, my friends. There are people every day in this country who are forced to show their papers, people who have been born and raised here in the United States that get stopped in our local area that have to show their papers. So I think it's a real struggle that I believe that we need to come together as communities to work together to confront and decide how we're going to respond in this current historical moment to the phenomenon of people moving.
Yeah. Curtis, fortunately for you, there aren't any stereotypes of gay people for you to have to deal with. I mean, same thing. You're continually minimized by stereotypes in the gay community, aren't we?
Yes. I am an out gay man. I've been partnered with my partner, Willie, for 14, 15 years. I live in the city. And I have like you, I also want to thank the NAACP for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity. The good Reverend had asked me to speak at the Freedom Institute last year. It was my first time having to speak in this forum about the people that I serve and partly about my story. I also just want to, before I go further, say to the professor how moved I was by your presentation. I'm familiar with the Jim Crow Museum, and I applaud you on all of the work you've done. And I also applaud the organizers who put us together in this room, because in this brief time I've gotten to meet some people who I want to have further conversations with. And I had this presentation, I worked very hard on it, but you know, I think right now it's really about me conveying that, and yes, gays are the last group of people that you can legally discriminate against. And there are some things that me and my partner do not have the opportunity to do like my brother and my sister can do. I can't get married to my partner. Therefore, there's some benefits that many people here who are married know that it just comes with the territory. In some parts of the country, if my partner was hurt, and he was taken to the hospital, a physician could say that I may not have access to see my partner. I personally was discriminated against in the state because I was fired for being gay. I'm not protected in Michigan for being gay. That's the last discriminatory act that someone can legally use against me to fire me. I was fired. Now, mind you, I was fired when I was in my 30s, so I've never been fired before my whole life. So when I was fired, you know, I laughed. I thought, this is hilarious. You know, am I fired, really? And that's when I began to find out about laws, you know, pertaining my safety in employment. It was devastating. And again, just gave me a further awareness of where I am in this nation. The one thing I did do was I thought, you know, I could leave. Like many gays and lesbians, bi and trans folks, they tend to leave their home. They tend to go to coastal cities such as San Francisco or New York, other cities such as Miami or LA. But you know what? I'm a Detroiter. This is my home. My family is here. My family is here. My in-laws are here. My schoolmates are here, my neighbors are here. I love my city, and I can either leave like some of us have made that decision to do because they've not felt safe, but thank God for some people locally who are in their right mind, who understands what it is to really work together. I decided to stay to be a part of the solution. And so right now I operate KIC, which is an agency for gay and lesbian, bi, African Americans and trans African Americans, and we're located in the city. This is very unique, and I just want to thank so many people to make that happen, but who really made that happen are fellow Detroiters. because I'm really am excited about my community's ability to hold their arms open and allow a unique people like me to flourish.
Great. Nickole Fox, it seemed to me during Dr. Pilgrim's remarks about when he was talking about mascots, and we saw the Native American sort of the Indian T-shirt. I don't know if there's a group that's still defined as much in the American psyche as by stereotypes as Native Americans. That must be a continual frustration to you.
Yes. You know, I'm very honored to be here. I wanted to say that I'm very also humbled to be on such a great panel of community leaders. But I brought some images. I don't know if you guys can see this all the way back there, but I didn't know exactly, you know, what the presentation before was going to be, but these kinds of images are pervasive throughout the United States, and they structure the way that people think about Native people, and that leads to a lot of misperceptions, misconceptions about Native people. And, you know, on the individual level, it's, you know, when somebody finds out that you're Native, oh, I didn't know there were Natives around here. Oh, you don't look like an Indian. And even the most random things, like, do you live in a teepee? You know, and it's because there's
no sense of irony, right? There's no, yeah.
Really. You know, one of the other things that I put in my also prepared presentation was, you know, one of my friends, a young child, said, "Oh, look, Mom, a real Pocahontas," and that's how society is right now. You know, Native people are seen as these stereotypical images, and it's hard to conceptualize a real Native person because there's other representations. There's not a lot of contemporary representations of non-stereotypical Native people. And, you know, something else I wanted to share was that shapes also how we make decisions. So children and people who understand or subconsciously understand these stereotypes are making policies for Native people, are teaching children, are providing health care in the community. And, you know, I really hope that, you know, with more forums like this, that there's more people who are fighting against these stereotypes, because they're really detrimental to the community.
I read a great column online the other day that somebody was quoting somebody who had recently said all these illegal immigrants need to go home, and the writer of this column said most Native Americans believe that too. Pastor Mendez, as we get to you, I was wanted you to talk a little bit about, we got a lot of young people here, and I was struck by watching the images earlier today, especially the powerful ones to me are watching what we foist on young people, the little kids wearing T-shirts, holding their parents' signs. And we kind of, we can teach them racism. We can also teach them bitterness. One of the, among the many things that I recall that Kwame Kilpatrick said, this mayor, one of them that has stayed with me a lot was when he was asked early on about the riots in Detroit, and he said, well, I'm young, that's not a part of my reality. That's not a part of my life. And I think that a lot of the young people here today are almost in some ways getting to a point where, because I see this in my children as well, they're almost getting to be post-racial, and we can tend to pollute that if we continually want to beat them over the head with the past, and yet those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. How do we strike this balance with young people?
First of all, I want to join those that have already expressed the gratitude for this forum, and I really wish something like this could happen all over the country. We talk a lot about dialogue, but it's not really happening. And so I want to commend my friend and the NAACP for pulling this off. Let me preface my remarks, first of all, by saying that